class. Today we're going to be reading a story. We're going to read the true story of the Three Little Pigs. Have any of you guys read this story before? So, what is this page of the book called? Right, it's called the title page. Jason, who wrote this book? Right, A. Wolf wrote this book. Who illustrated this book? Right, Lane Smith illustrated the book. Okay, what is this page of the book called? Does anyone know? Right, it's called the title page. Correct. Alright. So, while we're reading this book, we're going to do I Wonders. So if you think of I Wonder and you come up with a question or something you wonder during the book, you're going to put your finger up and you're going to wiggle it in the air. You're going to remember this question that you think of, and at the end of the story, we're going to go through and answer any questions you may have come through. Okay? So, everybody knows the story of the Three Little Pigs, or at least they think they do. But I'll let you in on one little secret. Nobody knows the real story because nobody has ever heard my side of the story. I'm the wolf, Alexander T. Wolf. You can call me Al. I don't know how this whole big bad wolf thing got started, but it is all wrong. Maybe it's because of our diet. Hey, it's not my fault wolves eat cute little animals like bunnies, sheep, and pigs. That's just the way we are. If cheeseburgers were cute, folks would probably think you were big and bad too. Would you eat cute little furry animals? I don't think so. But like I was saying, the whole big bad wolf thing is all wrong. The real story is about a sneeze and a cup of sugar. And then it says, this is the real story. Way back in Once Upon a Time, I was making a birthday cake for my dear old granny. I had a terrible sneezing cold and I ran out of sugar. So I walked down the street to ask my neighbor for a cup. Now this neighbor was a pig, and he wasn't too bright either. He had built his whole house out of straw. Can you believe it? I mean, who in his right mind would build a house out of straw? Would you guys build a house out of straw? So, of course, the minute I knocked on the door, it fell right in. I didn't want to just walk into someone else's house, so I called, little pig, are you in? No answer. I was just about to go home without the cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake. That's when my nose started to itch. I felt a sneeze start to come on. Well, I huffed and I snuffed. Alright, what do you think's gonna happen? You think he's gonna blow his house down? And I sneezed a great sneeze. And you know what? The whole darn straw house fell down. And right in the middle of the pile of straw was the first little pig, dead as a doornail. And he had been home the whole entire time. It seemed like a shame to leave a perfectly good ham dinner lying in there in the straw, so I ate it up. Think of it as a big cheeseburger lying right there. That's crazy. I was feeling a little better, but I didn't have my cup of sugar, so I went on to the next neighbor's house. The neighbor was the first little pig's brother. He was a little smarter, but not much smarter. He built his house out of sticks this time. I rang the doorbell on a stick house. Nobody called, or nobody answered. I called, Mr. Pig, are you in? He yelled, Go away, wolf, you can't come in. I'm shaving the hairs on my chinny chin chin. I had just grabbed the doorknob when I felt another sneeze coming on. And I huffed, and I snuffed, and I tried to cover my mouth, but I sneezed a great sneeze. Okay, so turn your partner now, and what do you think is going to happen? Do you think the sticks are going to hold this house up, or do you think he's going to blow it down? Okay, class, let's see what happens. And you're not going to believe it, but this guy's house fell right down, just like his brother's. When the dust cleared, there was a second little pig, dead as a doornail, wolf's honor. So he just killed 2 little pigs. Do you guys know what's going to happen to the third little pig? Now, you know the food will spoil if you just leave it out and open, so I did the only thing that there was to do. I had dinner again. Think of it as a second helping. I was just getting awfully full, but my cold was feeling a little better, and I still didn't have that cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday. So I went to the next house. This guy was the first and second little pig's brother. He must have been the brains of the family. He built his house out of bricks. I knocked on the brick house. No answer. I called, Mr. Pig, Mr. Pig, are you in? And do you know what that little porker answered? Get out of here, wolf, and don't bother me again. So do you think this wolf's going to be mad now? Talk about impolite. Probably had a whole sack full of sugar, and he wouldn't even give me one little cup for my dear old sweet granny's birthday cake. What a pig. I was just about to go home and maybe make a nice birthday card instead of a cake when I felt my cold coming on again. I huffed, and I snuffed, and I sneezed once. Then the third little pig yelled, and your old granny can sit on a pin. Now, I'm usually a pretty calm fella, but when somebody talks about my granny like that, I go a little crazy. When the cops drove up, of course I was trying to break down the pig's door, and the whole time I was huffing and puffing and sneezing and making a real big scene. Do you think the house is going to fall down this time? You don't think so because of the bricks? The rest, as they say, is history. The news reporters found out about the 2 pigs I had for dinner. They figured a sick guy going to borrow a cup of sugar didn't sound very exciting. So they jazzed up the story with all the huff and puff and blow your house down, and they made me the big bad wolf. That's it. That was the real story. I was framed. But maybe you could loan me a cup of sugar. Okay, class. So, do any of you guys have any wonders? I saw you guys using your fingers throughout the story.